cause a collision. Yeah, people. I'm dead.
Welcome to episode 5 of the New Dad Rock.
Okay, a few administrative items this week. Since we're at episode 5, I guess we can consider ourselves a real podcast. So number 1, the podcast, which you may have noticed already, will release on Tuesdays. If you're enjoying us, please share us with your friends, neighbors, and perhaps even your nemesis.
I wouldn't want to wish this podcast on my nemesis.
All right. So number 2, under the category of shameless promotion, please remember to give us 5 stars. Just jot down a quick written review. It doesn't have to be much.
It can even be one word, like sick, rad, penultimate.
And finally, number 3, in this week's mailbag, cussin' in songs.
Yeah. I noticed you started the playlist from last week's Pavement Show with Box Elder.
It's a great song, man.
Yeah, but the second line is, I had to get the F out of this town.
It's a regular suburban anthem, dude.
But what about the children? No shame?
How did you even find that playlist, by the way?
It was on the episode notes page.
Oh, duh. I put that there.
Okay. But music is important in your kids' developments. Social, educational, linguistic, a new way of expression, math, any which way, love.
Yeah, if you are playing music, it inspires confidence, patience, inhibits stage fright.
Aside from that, has being a dad changed your musical habits or taste?
Not really. I mean, I play the same bands that I always listen to. If I want to listen to some Finnish death metal, I do. If I want to listen to some, trippy stuff from the 60s or some funk. Some songs I won't play, like Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine, which is like, fuck you, I won't do what you do.
Totally.
Like, I won't play that song in front of my kids.
That's fair. I get it, man. So the only way music has changed for me, mostly, is that I listen to the radio because I drive a car. To get them to their soccer practice or their friends' houses, to school sometimes when I'm late or whatnot. So I pretty much luckily only drive now because I have to move my kids around. But that's when I listen to the radio. So oftentimes I'm driving at the same time, and so I'm hearing the same radio every day. So it's totally interesting. So it's more meta the way having kids has changed the way I hear music.
Yeah, when I pick up the only person I really drove to school much was I would pick up my daughter sometimes from high school, and she's like in 10th grade. So I'll roll up in front of the high school. Not 9 times out of 10, but at least 5 times out of 10, I'll be playing like extreme Finnish black metal.
No way.
Yeah, and it kind of depends if there's like going to be a friend picked up, and certain friends they see what I'm doing
Frightened
there.
of you. Yeah.
No, but they see what I'm doing and they are somewhat amused by it. But there are certain friends that I would not play that. I might just be more like, I don't know.
For some of them you
some
play
can or something.
Yeah, well, that's great. Hey, you know what? Diversity is good, man. Anyway, speaking of diversity, have your kids introduced you to any bands?
I mean, not really. Like, they have no interest in what I'm playing, and to be honest, like, I've probably gotten more from them. Like, I know they like Billie Eilish, so I checked out a couple of her songs.
Oh, dude, I love her, and like, that's actually one of our big travel albums, is Billie Eilish, but only because she's actually on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen to the radio, and I guess once in a while I'll miss somebody like that, but I guess my oldest daughter is tuned in enough that if I miss out on it, she'll at least, and it gets big enough, I'll find out.
Yeah, so I have two, a nephew and a niece who live in Oakland. I think they're probably like 15, the girl, and 12, the boy. And like, I'm like, where do you find music? Like, I love having like this 10-minute conversation, every month or two when I see them. And like, obviously they're like, listen, old dad or whatever, but like, they're cool with me. And they're like, they use SoundCloud because they don't have to pay for it, right? They don't have credit cards or whatnot, so they can't buy like Tidal like I use, or Spotify like most people use, or Apple. So it's interesting how they hear music. So
yeah,
most of what you hear on the radio is on SoundCloud too.
Yeah, and on top of that, SoundCloud is easy to upload things to. You know that. But my kids, like my oldest, her friends have like recorded these like horrible raps that are on SoundCloud that you can go listen to, and it's kind of
awesome.
It's kind of
no, it's amazing.
I'm saying I probably got more from my kids than they got from me, because anything including my wife, anything we try to introduce to the kids, it's like we're trying to feed them asbestos. My daughter,
sounds tasty.
A couple of years ago, my daughter was in the singing competition, and she had this list of 100 songs that she had to choose from, and she had to have second and third choices because it's 30 kids choosing from those same 100 songs.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And my wife is trying to get her to sing "Dream a Little Dream of Me."
That 60s song?
Yeah, it's the Mamas and the Papas. I think there are other versions, but the Mamas and the Papas is the one she knows. But she had no interest in that at all.
So when you listen to music, do you change what you play because you have kids? The Dead Kennedys might be an album I listen to, Give Me Convenience or Give Me Death, right? Like that Margaret Thatcher Reagan parody is amazing. Yeah. And I'm not going to play that anywhere where my kids can hear it, but
Yeah, I mean, within reason, there is some censorship which goes on, I guess, automatically, and I think censorship is, something that there are definitely pros and cons to an extent. Anytime that you have a black and white line, it makes it a lot harder.
I think in Plato's Republic, I think he was talking about the censorship of music. And other philosophers in the early days, and even later days, were talking about the passion it inspired and how that can be dangerous to the civic and political world. But I digress.
Yeah, parents
Censorship.
Parents have been, complaining about what kids are listening to. They're like, oh, those kids these days, I'm sure back in Tin Pan Alley and, at least definitely through the invention of rock and roll and Elvis and the Beatles and punk, all the parents were like, oh, these kids, this is terrible. It's ruining the next generation.
Somehow, I've been able to keep up to some degree with new music, which is cool because it sounds great, man. It's
yeah, you're the cool dad. You're the cool dad. I get it.
I'm not trying to do that, man.
Yeah, but think about who's not the cool dad or the cool mom, I should say. The PMRC. Do you remember that? What was that called? The Parents Music Resource Center. I think.
Tipper Gore, right?
Yeah.
And a few other moms.
Yeah, Washington moms. They're all upset about what they hear in music, and it was when we were kids.
Yeah, dude, and they're the ones who got the stickers on everything.
We were the kids that they were aiming at. 1985 were the Senate hearings. I was 12 years old.
Dude, seriously? Wait, I just realized for the first time that just say no and the parental advisory explicit content icon are of the same exact moment in time.
Just say no was a couple years ahead, yeah. But yeah, that's and it's us. And look at us, man. We listen to explicit music while doing all sorts of crazy drugs, Nancy.
Our friend Kevin also has said the same thing to me. Everything was marketed at us. Everything was targeted at us. And that was before this internet shit where they can target at me. Mm-hmm. Right? At least it was a collective of us learning this stuff, but now they can go after me.
I think about the legacy of that, and 1985, there's Senate hearings going on. They call up Frank Zappa and Dee Snider and Bob Denver up in front of the Senate.
John Denver, you mean?
Right, what did I say? Bob Denver? Gilligan, to be clear, Gilligan was not called before the Senate to testify.
Yeah, but they all partied together, so I get your confusion.
Yeah. We end up with this parental advisory explicit content sticker, which was everywhere. It was on all the cool albums. I think there was a Frank Zappa album that came out that was all instrumental, but one of the song titles was, I don't even know what the song title without looking it up is, but it was something risque, and they slap a parental advisory on a fully instrumental album.
Okay, check this out, man. The parental advisory symbol, I remember from Sam Goody. Do you remember that? It was like a cassette and record store, maybe CD store later, right? That was in malls. Remember malls? Do you have malls by you?
We still have some, but nobody goes in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get
Did you ever have a moment where they were like, I can't sell this to you without your parent here, or show me ID?
I can't remember it. You know what, though? That's something I might not remember. Yeah. The things I remember are way more traumatic. I mean, not bad. Like, maybe not really bad, but just traumatic to me. But like, no, I don't remember anyone telling me I couldn't get something. But I do remember when that appeared on a lot of things. You're right, because it probably wasn't them who told me that. It was probably my parents who told me that, right?
They had this list. It was the Filthy 15. It was, 15 songs that they pulled out in the Senate hearing. And they were all like, they picked like if it was sex or violence or language or what have you. But if you go down the list, there's 15 songs, and most of them the issue is with sex. There's only one song on here that even says anything about violence, and it's Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It. But what does that tell you? Like, there's 15 songs on the list. One has anything about violence, and it's We're Not Gonna Take It, which is like, oh, that's not necessarily the most violent song I've ever heard of. But everything else on here is like sex, like Prince, Darling Nikki, about sex. Sheena Easton, Sugar Walls, sex. Judas Priest, Eat Me Alive.
George Michael, right? Faith, or I Want to Have Sex?
That was not on there.
Sex.
That was not on there.
Sex. Madonna,
like, Dress You Up. Like, all these songs are about sex. And then Cyndi Lauper, She Bop. It's like they hate sex, they hate masturbation. Meanwhile, they've got all these campaigns like abstinence only, and you can't have sex, you can't masturbate, but We're Not Gonna Take It is verboten.
Dude, but I think it was the way they were dressed, and that's probably why they got in trouble. I mean, not in trouble, but like, being out of sick. We're not gonna take it. It's a good karaoke song. All right, I'm not gonna do it now.
That's better.
What do you know about Lennon?
I mean, I know John Lennon was quoted as saying, in a world with major pollution and guns ablaze, they have to pick on someone using foul language, which I think was something he said around the whole PMRC movement in the 80s and the quest to put stickers on albums.
Yeah, man. I don't know about you, but words are picked on all the time, and like, words can obfuscate the truth.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean.
I actually just found this out like literally in the last week. I was zooming with my friend Darren, and he told me that like Skinny Puppy was used to torture prisoners at Guantanamo Bay. Like
we used to use Skinny Puppy to scare people out of our house parties in college. So
dude, which means we could have had a good anti-terrorist career. We could have been kings of torture.
We could. The only problem when we played Skinny Puppy though is like all the freaks would show up. So like we tortured, like people would leave them and they're like, this is horrible, but there were a bunch of freaks that liked Skinny Puppy and they'd come in.
And we were freaks and we liked Skinny Puppy. Yeah, but like there was no alcohol left. It was just freakness.
Yeah, I guess that's all you need now.
Yeah. Hey,
which is the moral of the story that the PMRC wanted to convey to us. You don't need drugs to have a good time, or sex.
You don't have to have sex. All right, yeah, man. Well,
but seriously, do you think this whole PMRC thing? And I always remember Tipper Gore, and again, we were the demographic it was being targeted at. Do you think it was enough to cost Al Gore the election in 2000?
Not at all. Had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean,
no one remembers that.
I was also 27 at the time, so nobody my age votes anyway. So,
well, I've been getting those. I'll tell you this. You know how you get anyone to vote? They send you the thing and you send it back. Like I've been getting those for like 10 years. But it's true, man. I would never vote when I had to go to someone's garage and click a box. I mean, I did go, but I totally missed elections. Totally. I get how 20-year-olds miss elections. But like, if they fucking send it to you, easy. They put it on my mobile phone, even easier.
So the moral of the story is, have we
vote
changed?
Online?
But the moral of the story is, have we changed in our musical habits, our musical tastes, and has that led to censorship? And are we bad parents?
Well, okay, in 60 seconds or less, I think I'd summarize it for me as, yeah, I might keep out sex and curse words from my kids here, but like, also they're just words, so I'm like, I've always been trained that way. So I'd rather hear the beats and I focus on that, but I listen to the radio mostly. Think about it. Most of their music they're exposed to is in the car. I play radio and they hear that in the background when they come into the room where I'm at, but like, I like silence a lot too, but in the car I'm listening to music, not talk radio. So like, they hear the music and I hear the music. It's popular music. It's got a beat. It's cool. It's
and a lot of commercials. You hear a lot of commercials too, right?
Yeah, but the commercials are like local, so it's fascinating what people advertise on radio.
So I guess in the end you would summarize that some of our behavior has changed, but it's only been a slight modification.
Okay,
Yeah.
so with all this music and stuff and kids, have we changed?
Yes, we have. Absolutely.
Do we censor?
I mean, to an extent. You know, there are some... When the language is blatant, I'll do it. Or if I know a song and it's coming up, I'll suddenly make inane conversation with one of my kids so that they're focused on that and not the horrible lyrics. But, you know, I agree with you and I agree with George Carlin. I mean, it's words. In the end of the day, it's words, and they know the words already. My kids are old enough; they know the words. And the appeal of the forbidden fruits. Dude, the bird was going crazy right before we started recording today, but the bird was going crazy. Like I stuffed up 2 exits into the garage before recording today, and I thought he was going to cause a problem, but
oh man,
he's definitely gone. And I say he because I know it's he based on his coloring.
That's totally cool. Well, thanks for joining, and tell all your friends about us. We release podcasts every Tuesday. Thanks for playing.